What's going on YouTube? For those who are new to the channel, I'm Paul Raven, Brains, Brawn and Barbells. As always, I'd like to take this moment to extend my appreciation to those of you old and new who have both engaged and shared the content of my channel. This means a great deal to me as an aspiring content creator. I've also noticed that a proportion of you that are viewing the content on my channel have not yet subscribed. So if you are taking anything away from my videos in the way of value, then please give me those signals, hit up that likes button, make some noise down there in the comment section, let me know your thoughts and opinions on today's topic. I would like to try and keep today's video as succinct as possible without going off onto any crazy tangents, so without further ado, let's talk psyllium husk. Psyllium husk is a type of soluble fibre derived from the Plantago ovata seeds. Of course, fibre can be sourced from a variety of different foods, including vegetables, fruits, whole grains, nuts and seeds, just to name but a few. But let's keep on today's topic of psyllium. When ingested, soluble fibres, like in this case, psyllium husk, quickly attract and take on water within the GI tract. This is important because it starts to form a mass that is gel-like in consistency. So in no specific order, let's start to explore some of the benefits and outcomes that you get when you start to ingest this type of soluble fibre. Firstly, fibre helps to bind up some of the bile acids and some of the toxins that are released from the liver into the intestinal tract. I think it's really important to note here that bile is naturally created within the liver, and this is then formed from cholesterol. Now, cholesterol is also naturally formed within these spaces too, such as the liver, from a molecule called acetyl coenzyme A. Now, not just this, but we can also obtain cholesterol through our diets, through various dietary sources, including eggs being one example amongst many. So the increased dietary fibre from sources such as psyllium husk will then go on to aid the collection of excess cholesterol and excess biles within the intestinal space. These will be bound up within that extra fibre, and we've moved on through the small intestines and through the large intestines before you then have to visit the bathroom. With these now lower levels of cholesterol within the liver, otherwise known as intrahepatic cholesterol, this will now go on to support the job role and the functional role of high density lipoproteins, or HDL, a typically more favoured lipoprotein, may I add, when concerning one's health, especially when we're talking lowered risk of heart disease and stroke. So these favoured HDL have a job role of collecting excess cholesterol within and from the cells of the body and within the blood, and taking it back to the liver via reverse cholesterol transport, via that known as enterohepatic circulation. And wow, you guessed it, this also helps to serve with the lowering and modulation of blood lipids. With this now increased hepatic storage or liver storage of cholesterol, the body can then go on to form and synthesize new bile. This can then be further modulated with regular and consistent intakes of dietary fibre. So here's an analogy. I personally like to think of psyllium husk as a cargo ship, giving the body the means to which we can store and remove different waste products from our body and get those removed out of the body, thereby modulating and regulating further our blood lipids. So, to summarise, with the overall lowering of cholesterol and LDL cholesterol, otherwise referred to as bad cholesterol, more favourable, more desired LDL to HDL cholesterol ratios can be established and maintained. If you are mindful of your health and want to stay on top of this, then visit Medichecks. I strongly advocate this company for the monitoring and checking for all my health related markers, including my blood lipid profile, including LDL, HDL, cholesterol and triglycerides. A simple and efficient way for home-based service that gives you greater control and responsibility for your health. I'll leave a link to the blood lipid test in the description below. Now we have an understanding of how fibre from psyllium husk can aid that of modulation of blood lipids. Let's move on now to gut health and immunity. It has been notably established that around 70% of the immune system is located within the region of the gut. When referring to the gut, I think it's important to identify that reference is being made to that of the large intestine. The gut is home to a significant and diverse array of cultures or bacteria. These are referred to as microbes. This is known as the gut microbiome. Now, I like to think of the microbiome as a community made up of an array of diverse subpopulations. Now, some populations having more in the way of numbers, and some populations of bacteria having less in the way of numbers. Nonetheless, these form a community. This forms the microbiome. And I will stress that having optimal numbers and optimal volumes of bacteria within the body and within the gut microbiome is rather important, as the body prefers balance, not too much, not too little. Now, before we get out of hand and think that bacteria is all bad, I think it's wise to stress here that we and the bacteria live among each other in, so to say, a relationship. We live in symbiosis. We live amongst each other for mutual gain. Now, that being said, a loss of beneficial gut bacteria or an overabundance of a particular type of bacteria can result within something called gut dysbiosis, and this is linked with particularly unhealthy outcomes. Some of these examples of physical outcomes can present themselves in symptoms such as fatigue, gastric distress, including constipation or diarrhea, bloating, bacterial skin infections, and even overgrowth. These are just a small number of things to look out for. Psychologically, there have also been links made to dysbiosis, and that are fluctuations in concentration, depression, and even anxiety. An important aspect to note here that gut dysbiosis, or decomposition of gut bacteria, has also been tightly linked to that of your cravings. Yes, you heard me right, in your cravings. With gut bacteria being responsible for controlling host behaviours through that known as the gut-brain axis. With fibre, it would be key to note that it is not a necessarily digestible dietary component. However, it is fermentable. So, as the fibre makes its way through the gut, the microbes present here can anaerobically ferment the fibre within the psyllium husk and start to produce other metabolites and short-chain fatty acids. These short-chain fatty acids can be used to support and nourish the surrounding bacteria, the immune system, and other cells of the body. So now we've understood and learnt that fibre can actually support with lipid modulation, immune health, and gut health. Wow, what next? Let's talk about fibre intakes and glucose modulation and management. With the previously identified characteristics of fibre being noted as non-digestible, when fibre is present within the digestive tract with other digestible nutrients, this also helps with the slowing down and sequential uptake of nutrients within the bloodstream. The slow digestion and sequential absorption of nutrients within the blood would theoretically lend themselves to less sharper increases in blood glucose and thus lower insulin responses required to modulate those increased blood glucose levels. This would be idyllic because more stable blood glucose levels lend themselves to a much more controlled appetite and control of cravings. These two features alone would be highly beneficial for an individual who is looking to maintain and manage their body weight. Now, I'm not a doctor, nor do I claim to be, so make sure that you do your own due diligence and your own reading around this one. For me, nice and easy. Each morning I will take 5 grams of psyllium husk, mix that with 300 millilitres of water or juice, depending upon your palate, and I'd consume that within that one sitting. Now, psyllium husk is pretty much flavourless, so water works fine with me. For me, 300 millilitres of water minimum is best practice with your sitting of 5 grams of psyllium husk, as we've already learned and we've already established that soluble fibre takes on water, so please ensure that you have adequate water there available for this process to occur. Now, taking more than the figure amount that I've already recommended in terms of psyllium husk is something that you will need to do your own reading on and do your own research with, as taking upwards of 10 grams of psyllium husk over the course of the day is also seen to be quite beneficial in certain populations, case by case and dependent upon your personal circumstances, your dietary and gastric circumstances, as taking on too much psyllium husk can also bring about some very interesting side effects. So please be careful and do your own reading around that. Well, I feel that wraps up today's video. I hope that you are more informed and educated upon the importance of dietary fibre and the benefits that this type of dietary fibre can have on your body. Lastly, if you'd like to hit up the likes button if you've taken anything away from today's video, of course subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date with my latest content. Until next time, take care.